Call the Senate to order. The senators will please take their seats. The senators and all in attendance, please stand and be led in prayer by the Honorable Mamie E. Locke, the 2nd Senatorial District, and please remain standing for the prayer by Corinne Sloan, Assistant General Clerk, Senate Clerk's Office. Senator Locke.
Thank you and good afternoon. Less than a year ago, we had not heard of the coronavirus, a soon-to-be pandemic that would soon plague our world. New words and phrases would enter our nomenclature: social distancing, testing, masking up. All this would become our new normal. Through it all, God remained present in our lives. I offer this reading from Psalms 121, verses 1 through 3. I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. He will suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Let us pray. Dear Lord, during this time of uncertainty and the pandemic, make sure that we all test positive for faith. Make sure that we keep distance from doubt. And make sure that we mask up from fear. Lord, may we continue to trust in you, and may each person who hears my voice be abundantly blessed today and always. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The clerk will call the roll. All those present, please vote aye. Clerk will close the roll.
You have a quorum, Madam President.
Thank you.
Senate Journal for Tuesday, February 16th, 2021.
The senator from Chesterfield County, the senior senator from Chesterfield County, Senator Ghazala Hashmi, moves that the journal be read. All in favor of waiving the reading of the journal will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all senators voted? Do any senator desire to change their votes? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 34, noes 4.
Ayes 34, noes 4. The clerk will report any communications from the House of Delegates. The senior senator from Fairfax, Senator Saslaw.
Madam President, I would move that we waive the reading of the communications from the House of Delegates.
The question is, shall the reading of the communication be waived? All in favor of waiving the reading of the communication from the House of Delegates will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all senators voted? Do any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 35, noes 3.
Ayes 35, noes 3. The communication is waived. The clerk will report any communications from the governor.
We do not have any, ma'am.
The clerk will call the calendar.
Senate calendar for Wednesday, February 17th, 2021. Unfinished business Senate. Senate Bill 1132 has passed the House with amendment.
The senator from Roanoke County, Senator Suderline.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the Senate agree to the amendment, and speaking briefly to the amendment.
Senator has the floor.
The amendment is technical in nature and strikes the words "school divisions may not" and changes it so that the insertion is "no school divisions shall." I hope it will be a pleasure of the Senate to agree to the amendment.
The question is, shall the amendment be agreed to? This will be a recorded vote. All in favor, please let it be known by voting aye or nay. Have all senators voted? Any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, no 0.
Ayes 39, no 0. The amendment is agreed to.
Senate Bill 1146 has passed the House with a substitute.
The senator from Northern Fairfax, Senator Howell.
Thank you, Madam President. I would move that the substitute be rejected. This is the conformity bill, and we need to get it in conference.
With the recommendation that the substitute be rejected, the question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? All in favor of that vote, please let it be known by voting aye. Nays have the same right. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all senators voted? Do any senator desire to change their votes? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 2, noes 37.
Ayes 2, noes 37. The substitute is rejected.
Senate Bill 1393 has passed the House with amendments.
The senator from Western Fairfax, Senator Marsden.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that we agree to the House amendments. They're mostly technical in nature. This is a bill that came through to deal with the study of replacement of trees during the development process, and with the Bay Foundation and the home builders and myself and some other trade groups, we've arrived at these amendments to carry that work group forward to come back next year with an agreed upon bill. So again, I would ask that we accept the House amendments.
The question is, shall the House amendment be agreed to? All in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senator desire to change their votes? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 31, noes 8.
Ayes 31, noes 8. The amendments are agreed to.
Senate Joint Resolution 272 has been agreed to by the House with a substitute.
The senator from Hampton, Senator Locke.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the substitute be rejected so that we can go into conference.
With the recommendation that the substitute be rejected, the question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? All in favor of that motion, please record your votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all senators voted? Do any senator desire to change their votes? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 0, noes 38.
Ayes 0, noes 38. The substitute is rejected.
Uncontested calendars, House bills on third reading.
The senior senator from Fairfax, Senator Saslaw.
Madam President, I move that all House bills on third reading on the uncontested calendar, it's pages 3 through 14, House Bill 1749 through House Bill 2287, be advanced to their final passage in a block after the adoption of amendments thereto. Any senator desiring to remove the bill from the block, please do so after the clerk has read the number of the bill.
The question is, shall House bills on the uncontested calendar, third reading, pages 3 through 14, House Bills 1749 through House Bill 2287, be placed upon their final passage in the block after the adoption of any amendments thereto, with the understanding that any senator desiring the bill be removed from the block will do so after the clerk has read the number of the bills. All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is agreed to. The bills are before us in the block. The clerk will read the numbers of the bills.
House Bill 1749, reported from the Committee on Local Government. House Bill 1763, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with amendments.
Madam Chair, Madam President.
Yes. Senator from Augusta, Senator Hanger.
Thank you, Madam President. I would ask that the 5 amendments be severed, that the first 4 amendments be placed in one block, and then the 5th one separate, voted on separately.
Without objection.
Thank you, Madam President.
Senator Hanger.
And members of the Senate. I've spoken to the chair of the committee on this matter. The first 4 amendments simply put our standard sunset provision on this particular bill, which deals with agricultural BMP tax credits. The 5th one didn't come out exactly as we had hoped it might, and it creates a problem. If we do not pass that one, then it will be in the same wording, identical to a Senate bill previously passed that I carried, that has also been passed by the House at this time. So at this time, Madam President, I would move that we pass or accept the first 4 amendments.
The question is, shall the committee amendments number 1 through 4 be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The amendments are agreed to.
Thank you, Madam President. And on the 5th amendment, with the recommendation that we rejected, I would move that the 5th amendment pass.
With the recommendation that the amendment be rejected, the question is, shall the amendment be agreed to? That is committee amendment number 5. All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. No. The noes have it. The committee amendment number 5 is rejected.
House Bill 1764, reported from the Committee on Local Government. House Bill 1774, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. House Bill 1776, reported from the Committee on Education and Health and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. House Bill 1783, reported from the Committee on Local Government. House Bill 1800, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with Senate amendments substituted for House amendments.
The senator from Roanoke City, Senator Edwards. I'm sorry, the senator from Northern Fairfax. Shall the committee amendments be agreed to?
I move the committee amendments be agreed to.
The question is, shall the committee amendments be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it.
Madam President.
The senator from Albemarle.
Rockingham.
Senator from Rockingham, so sorry.
That's okay.
Senator Obenshane.
Did that bill come out of the block?
Yes, without objection.
House Bill 1806, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary with amendments, and there's 1 floor amendment.
Oh. The senator from Roanoke City, Senator Edwards.
Mr. President, I move the committee amendments.
Shall the committee amendments be agreed to?
Madam President, move the committee amendments.
Thank you. The question is, shall the committee amendments be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. Ayes have it. The senator from Franklin, Senator Stanley.
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. It's nice to see you this morning.
Nice to see you as well, sir.
Thank you. Madam President, I now move that we waive the reading of the floor amendment.
The question is, shall the reading of the floor amendment be waived? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senator Stanley.
Thank you. I now move that the floor amendment be adopted. And speaking to that amendment?
The question is, shall the floor amendment be agreed to? I'm sorry, speak to the moment. You have the floor, sir.
I was happy to do it that way. But, okay, if I must. Ladies and gentlemen, this bill is basically allows for courts to retain jurisdiction when a person has been sentenced but has not been transferred to the Department of Corrections yet, to allow when it may be appropriate, that court to consider a reduction of the sentence or a modification of the sentence. What we've had is that when the defendant becomes the ward of the Department of Corrections, the jurisdiction, the court loses jurisdiction over them. So what Delegate Kilgore attempted to do here was to try to fix that. And then there is a simple way to also fix it, to keep jurisdiction with the court before transfer. And so what my amendment does is on line 66, it just it strikes the part where after the department, in parentheses, but has not actually been transferred to a receiving unit of the Department of Corrections, which it says department there. So basically the remaining line of line 67 would be removed, and that gives more flexibility to the court to whether, if the court does have a mindset to modify that sentence after the initial sentence has been given, they can do so whether that person has been transferred to the Department of Corrections or not. And for those reasons, Madam President, I now move that my floor amendment be agreed to.
Thank you. The question is, shall the floor amendment be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The amendments are agreed to.
House Bill 1858, reported from the Committee on Local Government. House Bill 1866, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary. House Bill 1867, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary. House Bill 1898, reported from the Committee on Local Government. House Bill 1916.
Madam President,
The Senator for Roanoke County, Senator Sudeline.
thank you, Madam President. May Senate Bill 1898 on page 7 please come out of the block?
Without objection, yes.
Madam President.
The junior senator from Chesterfield County, Senator Chase.
Thank you, Madam President. Could House Bill 1867 and I think 1898 has already come out of the block, and House Bill 1916 come out of the block?
Without objection. Did you say 1866?
67.
1867. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I'm also going to be taking out, or Madam President, I'll also be taking out House Bill 1935 when we get there.
And 1935. Thank you.
Takes care of that page. House Bill 1953, reported from the...
Madam President. Madam President.
The junior senator from Chesterfield, you did want 1935 out of the block?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President, are we going to take up the committee substitute and floor amendments at the end of the block?
Yes. Yes.
House Bill 1953, reported from the Committee on Education and Health with a substitute.
The senator from Hampton, Senator Locke.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the substitute be agreed to.
Senator has floor. Sorry, you don't need to explain it, just a voice vote. The question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is agreed to.
House Bill 1986, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Madam President.
The senator from Northern Chesapeake, Senator Spruill.
Can House Bill 1986 come out of the block?
House Bill 1986
86.
out of the block. Thank you.
House Bill 2006, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
The senator from Roanoke County, Senator Sudeline. House Bill 2006 will come out of the block.
House Bill 2059, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. House Bill 2060, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. House Bill 2064, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary. House Bill 2091, reported from the Committee on Local Government. House Bill 2095, reported from the Committee on Local Government.
Madam President,
The senator from Roanoke County, Senator Sotomayor.
thank you. I think this is the last time I'll be asking for something to come out of the block today, but may that please come out of the block. House Bill 2095 on page 10.
2095 on page 10 will come out of the block.
House Bill 2150, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary. House Bill 2177, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with amendment.
The senator from Northern Fairfax County, Senator Howell.
I move the amendment be agreed to.
The question is, shall the amendment be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The amendment is agreed to.
House Bill 2178, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with amendment.
The senator from Northern Fairfax, Senator Howell.
I move the amendment be agreed to.
The question is, shall the amendment be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The amendment is agreed to.
House Bill 2179, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. House Bill 2180, reported from the Committee on Local Government. House Bill 2181, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. House Bill 2185, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. House Bill 2186, reported from the Committee on Local Government. House Bill 2204, reported from the Committee on Education and Health and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Madam President,
The senator from Virginia Beach, Senator DeStaff.
Madam President, can House Bill 2204 on page 13 come out of the block?
House Bill 2204 on page 13 is out of the block.
Thank you.
House Bill 2236, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary. House Bill 2257, reported from the Committee on Local Government. House Bill 2273, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with a substitute.
The senator from Northern Fairfax, Senator Howell.
I move the substitute be agreed to.
The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The substitute is agreed to.
House Bill 2287, reported from the Committee on Local Government.
The question is, will all of the bills in the block? The question is, shall the House bills in block, that is, how all House bills except House Bill 1800 on page 5, House Bill 1898 on page 7, House Bill 1867 on page 7, House Bill 1916 on page 7, House Bill 1935 on page 7, House Bill 1986 on page 8, House Bill 2006 on page 9, House Bill 2095 on page 10, and House Bill 2004 on page 13. Are all senators ready to vote? Have all senators voted? Any senator desiring to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, no 0.
Ayes 39, no 0. The bills in the block, with the exception of those so noted, will pass.
Turning to page 5, House Bill 1800.
Turning to page 5, House Bill 1800. The question is, any extensions or yellow sheets will be carried over from this bill. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes, the senator from Bedford, Senator Newman.
Parliamentary inquiry, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Just to understand that a bit better, is what that means is if you turn in a yellow sheet on the Senate bill, it will be noted the same on this bill?
That is correct.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
The question is, shall the bill pass? All in favor of the motion, please vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all senators voted? Do any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 30, noes 9.
Ayes 30, noes 9. The bill is reported. House Bill 1998 on page 7.
1867.
Let's go to 1867 first. House Bill 1867. Senator from Roanoke City? Hello?
Mr. President, I move that the bill pass.
The question is, shall the bill pass? All in favor of the motion will record.
Madam President, Madam President, can we hear a little bit about the bill?
The senator from Roanoke City, could you please explain the bill?
Madam President.
The senator from Fairfax City will explain the bill.
Yes, ma'am. Basically, what this bill does, it takes off the time limit. Right now, there's a time limit for reporting crimes in order to be eligible for compensation. And for sexual crimes against minors, we have had, we did not apply the 5-day time limit. We've now made that for all sexual crimes, we don't apply the 5-day time limit. Keep in mind that there is still discretion by the fact finder, the agency that distributes these funds, to see if it's a legitimate claim. It's just, again, we're removing that 5-day requirement for sexual assault victims.
Thank you. Now the question is, shall the bill pass? All in favor of the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senator desire to change their votes? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, noes 0.
Ayes 38, no 0. The bill passed.
House Bill 1898, page 7.
House Bill 1898, page 7. The senator from
Prince William.
Prince Williams. Can't see that far.
Thank you,
Senator,
Thank you,
Senator
Madam.
McPike.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that House Bill 1898 pass. And speaking to the motion.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. What this bill does is allow an elected official of an incorporated town to also serve on the Board of Zoning Appeals within the county which the town resides. And this comes out of a situation in Prince William for the town of Haymarket, where actually the Republican local supervisor tried to appoint the local Democrat member of the town council in a bipartisan fashion, and actually the county attorney identified there's a conflict in the code. So this would allow those members to also serve on the local Board of Zoning Appeals, and move the bill pass.
The question is, shall the bill pass? All in favor of that motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all senators voted? Do any senator desire to change their votes? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 37, noes 2.
Ayes 37, noes 2. House Bill 1998 has passed, and the Lieutenant Governor is here. And as I take my seat, can you all join me in saying happy birthday to Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax?
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you, Senator. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Great job.
Page 7, House Bill 1916.
Senator from Northern Fairfax, Senator Howe.
Okay, there it is. I move the bill pass. This bill is identical to Senate Bill 1112, Senator Locke's bill, which passed the Senate unanimously. And beginning in tax year 2021, it extends the eligibility for the research and development expenses tax credit to taxpayers subject to the bank franchise tax.
Thank the Senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding House Bill 1916? Seeing none, the question is, shall House Bill 1916 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senator desire to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, noes 1.
Ayes 38, noes 1. House Bill 1916 passes.
House Bill 1935. We have a committee substitute and 8 floor amendments.
Okay, you want to start with that? Senator from Northern Fairfax, Senator Howe.
I move the committee substitute be agreed to.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is agreed to.
Mr. President.
Senator from Fairfax, Northern Fairfax, Senator Howe.
Just explaining that this is the conformity bill. It has now been conformed to the Senate version, just so everybody knows where we are on that. Thank you.
Thank the Senator. For what purpose, Senator from Hanover, Senator McDougal rise.
Mr. President, I rise to waive the reading of the 8 floor amendments.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the reading of the floor amendments be waived? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The reading of the floor amendments is waived. Senator from Hanover, Senator McDougal.
Thank you, Mr. President. Speaking to the floor amendments.
Senator's the floor.
Mr. President, Senator from Northern Fairfax is correct. This is the same bill that we discussed last week dealing with whether the state of Virginia is going to conform in reference to the PPP loans that were given to businesses. Mr. President, Senator from Northern Fairfax indicated that the Senate position that left this body last week was that, in essence, $100 million worth of those, or if you got a loan up to $100,000, then you would be able to use that as a tax deduction when you spent that money for employee salaries, employee health insurance, rent, operating expenses. Mr. President, this is the same amendment that I proposed last week that would say any business that took that loan would be able, and then kept individuals employed through that business, would be able to deduct those salaries that that business paid out, that rent that business paid out, the health insurance that business paid out. Mr. President, I had vacillated of whether I was going to reintroduce this amendment when the House companion bill came across. And Mr. President, when I saw the news yesterday that the revenue forecast had increased by $780 million, it made my decision very easy to reintroduce that. Mr. President, as we go forward, we always have decisions on where to spend the taxpayers' dollars. And Mr. President, I think we are at a position now with this increased revenue that we can spend it on other priorities, you can put it in different directions, or you can give those benefits, the benefit of the bargain those businesses made to keep those Virginians employed. Part of the reason that our economy is working well is because those employees continue to have jobs. They continue to have paychecks. They continue to have health insurance. And Mr. President, I believe that the Commonwealth of Virginia should reward those businesses, keep the promises that we made and that were made by others, and make sure that those businesses can deduct those expenses from their taxes in conformity. So with that, Mr. President, I move that the amendments be agreed to.
Thank the senator. No. For what purpose, the senator from Lynchburg, Senator Peak, rise?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President, to speak to the amendments.
Senator's the floor.
Yes, sir. I would also ask the body to support these amendments. And there's a critical difference, and I spoke on this yesterday afternoon, so I'll be brief. But the $730 million is a general tax. Whatever our tax had been, it's because our businesses did well. That's organic. That is what is supposed to happen when our economy does well. That is money that we anticipated came in higher than we had projected. This $500 million that we are looking at by not conforming, that is a tax increase on the small businesses of the Commonwealth. That is not organic due to growth. That is a flat-out $500 million tax increase on small businesses. I ask each and every one of you to think long and hard before you impose a $500 million tax increase on our small businesses after what they have been through for the past year under this declared state of emergency. Thank you.
For what purpose, Senator from Eastern Fairfax, Senator Serville, rise?
Speaking to the floor amendment.
Senator's the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to caution you about the characterization that I think we're hearing from the other side here. Just so we're clear about what happened. I mean, many of us have small businesses. I have a small business. If you got a PPP loan from the government, it was a loan. Then you have to make an application, and then the federal government forgives the loan. Typically under federal and state tax law, when a loan's forgiven, that becomes income, okay? And when you pay expenses with your business, those expenses are deductible. And the way this program was originally set up, the forgiveness of the loan was not taxable, and the expenses were not deductible. So the federal government gave you $1, you use that $1 to pay your employee, the employee got the $1, the employee pays taxes on it, but the business doesn't pay taxes on the income, and the business doesn't get the deduct. So it's just like a pass-through. And that's the way this program was set up until Congress changed it around in January. And in January, what Congress said was that instead of it being a pass-through, you were allowed to deduct the expenses that were used to pay, that you got this money to pay with. So what does that mean? That means if you got a $100,000 grant from the government, which you don't pay taxes on, you use it to pay $100,000 of expenses, you get to deduct $100,000 of income, even though the loan and the forgiveness wasn't income. In other words, $100,000 just dropped out of the sky. Okay? So this is money that nobody was planning on until January. The PPP program was terrific. I think it was wonderful. I think it helped save thousands of jobs. I mean, I think $10 billion came through Virginia. But this windfall that business owners are going to get to take because they happen to have a business and happen to have employees fell out of the sky. And Congress decided, I guess, to pay for it with another check, written with printed money, probably borrowed from the Chinese government. Okay? We are borrowing money. It was borrowed money to pay for this. So from my perspective, Mr. President, the program we're doing here, what we propose to do is targeted. It's targeted on the right businesses. We're proposing to focus on the smallest businesses and not the big ones that don't need this money that just fell out of the blue. What we're proposing, I think, is very targeted and much more thoughtful than what the federal government decided to do. But this is not a tax increase on businesses. That's a misstatement because small businesses are still going to get 96% of that money from the federal government tax-free out of nowhere. So the idea that that's a tax increase, Mr. President, is not really accurate.
For what purpose, Senator from Northern Fairfax, Senator Howe, rise?
I rise to speak in opposition to the amendment.
Senator, the floor.
Thank you. You can do a lot of things with numbers, and thank goodness we just got a revenue reforecast that is positive and will enable us to do some of the priorities of the Senate. But I want to remind people we are still $600 million short of where we were this time last year. We are not flush with money. We are having to make very hard decisions, and if this were to pass, they would be virtually impossible decisions. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding the floor amendments? Seeing none, the question is, shall the floor amendments be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The noes have it. The floor amendments are rejected. Seeing at least 8 hands, we will have a recorded vote. Question is, shall the floor amendments be adopted? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 17, noes 22.
Ayes 17, noes 22. The floor amendments are rejected. Senator from Northern Fairfax, Senator Howe. On passage, I believe.
Okay, good.
If you want to.
Yes, I want to. Thank you. I move passage of the bill.
Mr. President.
Okay. I'm sorry, I think the board may be stuck. Let's see. Tell me when we're okay. In the interim, Senator from Bedford, Senator Newman.
Mr. President, just speaking briefly to the motion.
Senator from Northern Fairfax, yield. Senator Yields, you have the floor.
Mr. President, I know there's different beliefs on where we could have gone and where maybe some of us would like to go as far as this relief goes. But one thing's for sure, that I hope that we get a very, very strong vote on this amendment. Very clearly, if you look at the underlying bill that came from the House of Delegates, it is for micro organizations, and it also does not extend to corporations that have been very deeply hit, and it limits it to $25,000. Mr. President, what we came up with out of the Senate Finance Committee, the gentleman from Southern Fairfax and the chairman of Senate Finance may not have been what everyone would like to have seen, or some would like to have seen, but the fact is it reaches 75% of the businesses, 75% who are going to be able to take advantage of this. Mr. President, I hope that we would support the bill as it is now.
Thank the senator. Senator from Northern Fairfax, Senator Howe. Our board is unstuck, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Sorry,
Okay.
Senator has the floor.
In that case, I move passage of the bill.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding House Bill 1935? Seeing none, the question is, shall House Bill 1935 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, noes 1.
Ayes 38, noes 1. House Bill 1935 passes.
On page 8, House Bill 1986.
Mr. President,
Senator from Northern Chesapeake, Senator Spruill.
1986 go by for the day.
Without objection, House Bill 1986 will go by for the day.
On page 9, House Bill 2006.
Senator from Northern Fairfax, Senator Howe.
I move the bill pass, and speaking to the bill.
Senators, the floor.
This is identical to Senate Bill 1201, Senator Peterson bill, which passed here 38-0 with one abstention. It expands the definition of electric supplier to include certain battery storage facilities with a storage capacity of greater than 25 megawatts and subjects such facilities to central assessment by the State Corporation Commission.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding House Bill 2006? Seeing none, the question is, shall House Bill 2006 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 37, noes 1, Rule 36-1.
Ayes 37, noes 1, Rule 36-1. House Bill 2006 passes.
On page 10, House Bill 2095.
Senator from Accomack, Senator Lewis.
Mr. President, move the bill pass, and speaking to that motion.
Senators, the floor.
Mr. President, members of the body, Senate Bill 2095 provides various charter changes to the City of Bristol. It makes changes that include removing the city's authority to adopt ordinances to provide for the prevention of immorality and for the suppression of gambling places, and to authorize the appointment of law enforcement officers in exchange with the City of Bristol, Tennessee, changing from City Council to City Attorney the authority to appoint assistant city attorneys, removing the requirement that a citizen own real property to serve on the Planning Commission, and aligning the requirements for appropriations outside of the appropriations ordinance with provisions of the Virginia Code, and authorizing the City Council to reappropriate unexpended funds at the end of the fiscal year, regardless of whether there was an obligated ongoing project, and authorizing the city attorney to make investigations into city affairs and removing such authority from other officers of boards and commissions. That is the bill, Mr. President, and with that, I renew my motion that the bill pass.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding House Bill 2095? Seeing none, the question is, shall House Bill 2095 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, noes 1.
Ayes 38, noes 1. House Bill 2095 passes.
On page 13, House Bill 2204.
Senator from Portsmouth, Senator Lucas.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a G3 bill, and of course, we've heard this bill several times, Mr. President, and I'd just like to move that the bill pass.
Fair enough. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding House Bill 2204? Seeing none, the question is, shall House Bill 2204 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 37, noes 2.
Ayes 37, noes 2. House Bill 2204 passes. Senior Senator from Fairfax, Senator Saslaw.
Mr. President, I would now move that the Senate stand in recess until 1:30, and I would yield to Senator Locke.
Thank you, Senator. Senator from Hampton, Senator Locke.
Thank you, Mr. President. Upon recess, I would ask that the Senate Democratic Caucus meet in our caucus room.
Thank the Senator. Without objection, the Senate will stand in recess until 1:30 p.m.
On page 15, regular calendar, House bills on third reading. House Bill 2014, a bill relating to the Virginia Residential Landlord and Tenant Act, landlord remedies, landlord's acceptance of rent with reservation, tenant's right of redemption. Reported from the Committee on General Laws and Technology, and there are 2 floor amendments.
Senator from Southern Fairfax, Senator Barker.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would first like to make a motion to withdraw the first floor amendment, which was the one that was had 4 lines on it and was originally printed yesterday.
Thank the senator. Without objection, that floor amendment is withdrawn.
All right. Then I will move to waive the reading of the second floor amendment. Number 2 is what it says.
Thank the senator. The question is, should the reading of the floor amendment be waived? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The reading of the floor amendment is waived. For what purpose does the senator from Fairfax City, Senator Peterson, rise? No. I think your mic's not on. I couldn't hear you. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Without objection?
I'm fine with it.
You're fine with it? Okay, without objection, House Bill 2014 will go by temporarily.
House Bill 1801, a bill relating to depositing of litter penalty, disposing of litter penalty, reported from the Committee on Transportation.
Senator from Western Fairfax, Senator Marsden. Is your mic not working, Senator? Does your microphone work too? I just want to make sure everybody can hear you.
Hello? Yes.
There you go.
It is. Thank you so much, Mr. President. There we go. Just to put this bill in its proper posture, yesterday it was defeated on the floor by a couple of votes. It was pulled off. We reconsidered. I don't believe there is a substitute. But what the bill does is basically increase the penalty for littering from $250 to $500. That's all the bill does. And it came out of the Transportation Committee, and I move that the bill pass.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding House Bill 1801? For what purpose, Senator from Roanoke County, Senator Suderline, rise.
Thank you, Mr. President. Speaking briefly to the bill.
Senator's the floor.
Mr. President, the Senate did the right thing yesterday when we defeated this bill. Worry we're not going to do the right thing today, but it's fascinating after hearing so many speeches the last 2 years about how we need to make sure that penalties that people face are equitable, and we're going down the path of not something that takes away people's liberty or anything like that, but that's a fine that's very much measured in dollars and cents. I don't think anyone should litter. My predecessor, you'll recall, talked about littering a lot more than I do, and he very much dislikes littering. And I share that dislike, but I don't think we should go down the path of doubling fines when we're trying to make our system more equitable. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank the senator. For what purpose does the junior senator from Richmond City, Senator Morrissey, rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, would the gentleman from Southern Fairfax, Senator from Western Fairfax, Senator Marsden, yield for a question?
Senator Yield?
I yield.
Senator Yield, you have the floor.
Was there any testimony, empirical evidence, anything whatsoever that would suggest doubling or increasing the fine would amount or result in less littering?
I do not believe there was any such testimony or evidence.
Right. Follow-up question,
Senator
Mr.
Yield?
President.
I yield.
Senator Yield, you have the floor.
So what was the rationale behind raising the penalty from a hefty $250 fine, which, by the way, I never saw in 30 years a general district court judge impose, to $50 to $500? What's the logic?
Well, thank you, Mr. President. The only thing I can say is I remember what Delegate Albo used to say when he would increase the penalties on drunk driving. It's because they just keep doing it, and nothing seems to be working, and this was an attempt at trying to make something work because it wasn't being, littering is still happening. The $250 fine doesn't seem to be a disincentive, and so we thought we'd try $500, and Delegate Edmonds brought that bill over, and it was reported out of transportation and defeated yesterday on the floor.
I thank the gentleman. Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding House Bill 1801? Seeing none, the question is, shall House Bill 1801 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 23, noes 14.
Ayes 23, noes 14. House Bill 1801 passes.
House Bill 1903, a bill relating to local government authority, reduction of speed limits, reported from the Committee on Transportation.
Senator from Western Fairfax, Senator Marsden.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the bill pass, Senate Bill HB 1903, and speaking to that.
Senator's the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. This just allows local jurisdictions in certain business and residential districts to reduce the speed limit from 25 to 15 miles per hour, but not any lower than 15 miles per hour, and I move that the bill pass.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding House Bill 1903? Seeing none, the question is, shall House Bill 1903 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 21, noes 17.
Ayes 21, no 17. House Bill 1903 passes.
House Bill 1932, a bill relating to child placing agencies, conscience clause repeal, reported from the Committee on Rehabilitation and Social Services with a substitute.
Senator from Arlington, Senator Favola.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that this bill be recommitted to Rehab and Social Services. That's my motion.
Thank the senator. Okay. Question is, shall the bill be recommitted to the Committee on Rehabilitation and Social Services? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is recommitted to the Committee on Rehabilitation and Social Services.
House Bill 2262, a bill relating to traffic regulation bicycles, reported from the Committee on Transportation, and there is a floor substitute.
Senator from Bath, Senator Deeds.
Thank you, Mr. President. I apologize for being slow with my mic there. I move that the reading of the floor substitute be waived.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the reading of the floor substitute be waived? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The reading of the floor substitute is waived. Senator from Bath, Senator Deeds.
Mr. President, as this bill was introduced and passed through committee and as it came to the Senate floor before, it does three things. It requires motor vehicles to move over when they're passing a bike. It allows bikes to ride two abreast. And the third provision is that it allows bikes to treat stop signs as yield signs. Now, I voted against this bill when I voted against the Senate cognate. I was part of the majority that killed this bill because of that third part. Because I don't like the idea. I think it sends the wrong signal when different people that use our highways can treat traffic signals differently. So I prepared this substitute, and I heard very loudly from my constituents, primarily who live in Charlottesville and around Charlottesville, who told me at some length how I was wrong and how they'd proven that in a couple of states that have passed the so-called Idaho stop, that the science and the physics shows that does produce more safe travel on the highways, and that they may be correct. What this bill does, however, is it preserves the first two parts of the bill, eliminates the part that allows bicyclists to treat the stop signs as yield signs, and it sets up through an enactment clause a work group with the state police and different constituent groups to look at this issue about the stop issue and report back to the General Assembly before the next session. That's simply what the substitute does. I've run it by the House patron, and he he's okay with what I've done. Doesn't necessarily like it, but he's okay with it, if it will get this bill passed. So with that explanation, I'd ask you to, I'd move that the substitute be agreed to.
Thank you, Senator. For-purpose senator from James City County, Senator Norman, rise.
Thank you, Mr. President. If the gentleman from Bath would be so generous to yield for a question.
Senator Yields.
Certainly, yes, sir.
Senator Yields, you have the floor.
Mr. President, I'd preface my comments by saying, obviously, I wasn't paying much attention to this amendment in the nature of the substitute until it was put on the desk. I appreciate that it's eliminated treating yield stop signs as yield signs, which I think is absolutely ludicrous. But looking on page 2 of the bill on lines 39 through 42, sir, and it looks like to me it is striking out the language that persons riding two abreast shall not impede normal and reasonable movement of traffic. Why in the world would we strike that language?
Senator, the floor.
Mr. President, I'd say to the gentleman that this was part of the bill as it came through the Senate and went through the House. It will allow, the way it's been explained to me, and I'll be quite honest, I've not really ridden a bicycle on a regular basis for 35 years. But it's been explained to me that particularly parents with young children, riding two abreast produces a more safe environment. And if we are requiring motor vehicles to move over to the next lane to avoid bicycles, it's all right for two bikes to ride abreast.
Further question?
Mr. President, speaking to that portion of the bill.
Senator, the floor.
Mr. President, I would say that I live very near the Capitol to Capitol Trail, and many bicyclists use our subdivision as a shortcut from one portion of the Capitol Trail to another. And I live in a community that purportedly has roads that allow two-way traffic, but obviously it is unmarked and there's no division of traffic lanes. And frequently, and I mean frequently, I see bicyclists coming through riding 2 and 3 abreast, and sometimes when they come to an intersection where they have to take a left or a right turn, they may be riding multiple abreast. But the reference to children, there are a lot of children in the subdivision where I live, and almost always they are riding well in advance of their parents. And consequently, the parents have no immediate physical or verbal control over these young bicyclists. And I just think that is a terrible policy mistake to strike that language that any persons riding two abreast shall not impede the normal and reasonable movement of traffic. And Mr. President, I don't say that from a punitive or enforcement standpoint, but I just have a little bit of functional knowledge with the liberal interpretation of statutory language.
Thank the senator. Senator from Bath, Senator Deeds.
If I could address the gentleman's concerns.
Senator's the floor.
I mean, I would tell the gentleman that he can get his own substitute. The part of the original bill that offended me or that caused me to vote no was the part that allowed the stop signs to be treated as yield signs. The language that he's speaking of right now that was stricken out in lines 39 through 42 was stricken out in the original bill. Now, voting for or against this substitute is not voting for or against that language. Voting for the substitute is simply voting for the bill to go forward without the language about the stop and yield sign. If the gentleman wants to introduce another substitute that strikes out that other language, or he wants to vote against the bill because of this language, that's fine.
For purposes, the senior senator from Fairfax, Senator Saslaw, rise.
Would the senator from Bath yield for question?
Senator Yield.
Gentleman yields.
Senator Yields, you have the floor.
Mr. President, while this situation may only be out in Senator Barker's district in the Clifton area, what about where you've got a 2-lane road that's got a double line down it? Do you have to stay behind those two on the bike until, because you can't cross, you're not supposed to cross the double line. do you have to stay behind them indefinitely?
Mr. President, I'd say to the
Senator,
gentleman
the floor.
that I don't think that's what you have to do. I think you can pass them when you can safely get around
Mr.
them.
President,
Does the senator yield?
If yes, I yield to the senator from Fairfax.
Senator from Eastern Fairfax, Senator Servo.
thank you, Mr. President. This issue came up in committee the first time the bill came through, and Section 46.2856 said you can cross a double yellow line to pass a bicycle.
It says that.
It says that in the code today.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, Senator. For what purpose does the senator from Western Fairfax, Senator Marsden, rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just as a matter of interest, all the things that we've been worried about here, one of the things that entered into the conversation was Delaware passed a similar law, and 1 year they had a big spike of 7 deaths. But it turns out, I looked at all the pictures that they provided, every one of them was somebody being hit from behind while pedaling on the right-hand side of a road. 5 of them, and 2 of them involved somewhere down in the Rehoboth Beach area. If y'all familiar with that, there's some 4-lane road. There's a 4-lane road there that is anybody would be crazy to go anywhere near on a bicycle, and 2 people were killed there. So a lot of what the bill talked about in terms of passing people and stopping at stop signs and what have you didn't turn out to be the fatal problem with what happened in Delaware that year. But I think I agree with the senator from Bath that this thing needs a good Virginia look at it with our state police, and let's come back with something that we can deal with next year.
Thanks. Senator, for what purpose does the junior senator from Richmond City, Senator Morrissey, rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. Speaking to the floor substitute.
Senator, has the floor.
First thing I'll say is I'm glad that my bill that I introduced a few weeks ago that was dead has risen from the grave. But the second point deals with the question about 2 abreast. There were 2 main reasons that 2 abreast was allowed. One, that the gentleman from Bath referred to a moment ago, parent riding on the outside closest to the road with child to the right, a protective measure. The second reason is this: a car is going to pass cyclists. That's going to happen. Think of 18 bicycle riders in single file. The car is going to pass, and it's going to take a longer distance to pass 18. Some of the empirical evidence why there's less accidents, if there are 2 abreast, you now have 9. You've decreased that in half. There's less travel time, less distance to get in front of those group of cyclists when they're 2 abreast. As I said several weeks ago, the empirical evidence showed that accidents decreased significantly. For those reasons, Mr. President, I'd ask that the body support the floor substitute, which I might say is a very, 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 very close cousin to my bill that you killed a few weeks ago.
Thank you very much. For what purpose does the senator from Rockingham, Senator Obenshain, rise?
Mr. President, speak to the substitute.
Senator,
Mr. President, you know, it strikes me that if somebody who's been driving as long as the senior senator from Fairfax has been driving doesn't know that you can pass somebody on a bicycle, there are a heck of a lot of other people across Virginia who don't know that as well. And if we are going to pass this, you know, we're going to have people who are riding 2 abreast and a heck of a lot of people on rural country roads and maybe even not so rural country roads, causing a lot of confusion, a lot more dangerous conditions, people passing under more dangerous conditions, and furthermore, people backing up traffic. You know, if you're going to passing 1 bicycle riding abreast as opposed to 2 or 3 riding abreast is a lot safer. So I just would submit that this adds a lot of confusion. And I say that with all due respect to the senior senator from Fairfax. He's a very good driver.
For what purpose does senior senator from Fairfax?
I would just say to the gentleman from Rockingham that we didn't have these problems with horse and buggy.
Mr. President, if I could, and I appreciate the levity that this subject brings, but most of the discussion is about this 2 abreast issue, and we can have that discussion when we get to the bill. The substitute simply involves taking the stop to yield out and creating the work group. And I'd ask you to adopt the substitute.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding the floor substitute? Seeing none, the question is, shall the floor substitute be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The noes have it. The floor substitute is rejected. Seeing at least 8 hands, we will have a recorded vote. Question is, shall the floor substitute be adopted? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 22, noes 17.
Ayes 22, no 17. The floor substitute is adopted. Senator from Bath, Senator Deeds.
Mr. President, I now move that the bill has passed, and we had a full discussion of the bill, I guess, during the discussion of the floor amendment, floor substitute. It allows for 2 bikes to ride abreast, and we took out the stop language. It requires cars to move over when they're passing, and it creates a work group to look at the stop issue. I'd ask that the bill be passed.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding House Bill 2262? Seeing none, for what purpose does Senator from Roanoke City, Senator Edwards, rise?
Mr. President, speaking to the bill.
Senators, the floor.
In particular with regard to the 2 abreast, I didn't like the bill last year, and the problem is it's not intuitively obvious. But from what I'm understanding, from what I've read and talking to people, if it's 2 abreast, you can see it better than 1 person. And therefore, when you're driving a car and you see ahead, you see 2. You really see it much better than just one bicyclist. And for that reason, the driver of the car will move over to the left more. But if there's 1 person, in terms of your ability to see and observe what's in front of you, it's not as easy to see 1 bicyclist than 2. So that's one reason in favor of allowing the 2 abreast for people's information. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank the senator. For what purpose does the senator from James City County, Senator Norman, rise?
Thank you, Mr. President, and I feel like I'm riding on a flat tire here, but that's another subject. As I read lines 46 and thereafter about the convening of a work group, it certainly appears to me, Mr. President, that the work group that the work group is going to study about whether or not stop signs should be treated as yield signs. That's what the focus of the study is. It appears to me, Mr. President, from a statutory construction standpoint, that the remainder of this bill remains in effect, that in fact the study group is not looking at a broad array of safety issues other than the suicidal issue of allowing a stop sign to be a yield sign. And that, Mr. President, I would encourage the body to reject the bill.
Thank the senator. For what purpose does Senator from King George, Senator Stewart, rise?
Speak to the bill, Mr. President.
Senators, the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the body. I thought it would just be interesting to actually read the bill and look at what it says, particularly in light of the senior senator from Fairfax's question. Under the law currently, if you're riding 1 bicycle on the edge of the pavement, you can pass a car can pass a bicycle on a double yellow line as long as they stay 3 feet away from the bicycle. So practically speaking, what that means is you can get your left tires over that double yellow line so you can ease around that bicycle and keep a 3-foot distance from it to be safe. But under this bill, if you read it on lines 18 through 19, it is now requiring you to change lanes, to completely get over into the left lane on a double yellow line. There's a reason we have a double yellow line. The reason we use a double yellow line is because there is no sight distance for cars to pass. So practically speaking, you will not be able to pass these bicycles that are riding two abreast now because there's no sight distance for you to get around them on the other side of that double yellow line, and they now can impede the normal flow of traffic. And I mentioned this before on the gentleman from Richmond City's bill. In rural Virginia, we have a lot of these roads where, gosh, you can go 20 miles and there's one place to pass. Route 3 is a great example of that. You have one passing zone where it's actually straight enough that there's a dotted line and you can get around folks. This is going to create a very tense situation between cyclists and motorists because they're not going to tolerate being stuck behind these bicycles going 10, 15, 20 miles an hour when they've got to go places, and it's just a really bad policy, and I hope you'll vote against it.
Thank the senator. For what purpose is the junior senator from Richmond City, Senator Morrissey, rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, would the gentleman from King George yield for a question?
Will Senator yield?
I will yield.
Senator yields. You have the floor.
I would ask the gentleman, having listened to his comments and read lines 18 through 20, I agree with him. I would preface my question by saying I agree with him. Words mean something, and the word shall on line 20 technically would require the car to change the lane and move into the other lane. The question is, would the gentleman from King George find this legislation more palatable if it used the word may instead of shall?
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, wouldn't make any difference because you can't, the practical effect of it is when they are two abreast, they take up the entire lane. We passed a law 3, 4, 5 years ago that required a car to pass on the left side of a bicyclist and stay at least 3 feet away from him. There's no way you can stay 3 feet away from two abreast in the same lane of travel. So you must go to the left lane to pass these cyclists. I'm sorry, that was a long no, I guess.
I thank the gentleman speaking one last time, if it's appropriate, Mr. President.
Yes, Senator has the floor.
Ladies and gentlemen of this body, let's be clear about one thing. A car that is following behind two cyclists or a group of cyclists is not going to follow behind that group for 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 miles. It's not going to happen. The practical aspect is the car is going to pass. Now let's decide how the car is going to pass. We now know that the law allows the car to cross over that double yellow line in order to pass those cyclists. We now know that we want to allow 3 feet to do this. The gentleman from King George made a point that it may require that car to go beyond into the complete opposite lane. But it's going to happen, Mr. President. They're going to pass. This bill allows that car to pass those cyclists in the most practical way possible. So we either pass this legislation and reduce accidents, or we don't. I really think it's as simple as that. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall House Bill 2262
Mr.
pass?
President.
Senator from Rockingham, Senator Obenshain.
Pardon me, I didn't get my finger on the button quickly enough. One additional data point that I think is really important to point out that we did hear in committee was that this is not the first state in which this has been done. And that there is experience that has been offered in other states. And I forget the state, but there was a state in which this was done, in which there was an 86% increase in the number of fatalities. 86% increase in the number of fatalities. So if we're going to do this, go into it with your eyes wide open. I urge a no vote.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding House Bill 2262? Seeing none, the question is, shall House Bill 2262 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senator desire to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 21, noes 18.
Ayes 21, noes 18. House Bill 2262 passes.
House Bill 1778, a bill relating to removal of clutter from property, reported from the Committee on Local Government with amendments.
Senator from Accomack, Senator Lewis.
Mr. President, I move the committee amendments.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the committee amendments be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendments are adopted. Senator from Accomack, Senator Lewis.
Mr. President, members of the body, I move that the bill pass. And speaking to that motion,
Senator, the floor.
Mr. President, what 1778 attempts to do is add clutter to the list of things that the governing body of a locality may have removed after reasonable notice to the property owner. Specifically, it provides that by ordinance, a locality may require the removal of clutter from a property, or may, whenever the governing body deems it necessary, after reasonable notice, remove such clutter with its own employees. Clutter is also further defined in 1778 as including mechanical equipment, household furniture, containers, and similar items that may be detrimental to the well-being of a community when they are left in public view for an extended period or are allowed to accumulate. The violations of the ordinance would be by existing civil penalty applicable to violations of similar provisions regarding trash, garbage, or refuse. Specifically, Mr. President, 15.2901 of the current code currently allows the localities to require removal from private properties of trash, garbage, refuse, litter, or other substances which might endanger health or safety. This definition is proved to be too narrow, specifically in the city of Hampton, where other items may have negative impacts on the well-being of the community. And so that they've come up with the word clutter and have defined clutter in the proposed legislation. And also, I would point out the committee amendments we just adopted remove land which is zoned agricultural from application of any such clutter ordinance. So with that, Mr. President, I renew my motion that the bill pass.
Thank the Senator. For what purpose does the Senator from Fairfax City, Senator Peterson, rise?
To fulfill my colleague's expectations by asking him a question, if he would rise for a question.
Senator Rise. And Senator Yields, you have the floor.
I asked the gentleman, I look at the code section, and garbage and refuse and other types of detritus are currently illegal, or they can be removed or penalized if they're in your yard, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Further question, Mr. President.
Senator Yield?
Yeah, I yield.
So it asks the gentleman, so what we're talking about is not garbage or refuse or but we're actually talking about something that actually has value that's left in the yard that can now be removed.
Senator's the floor.
It's clutter.
Further question, Mr. President.
Senator Yield?
I yield.
I would remind him what my colleague at St. Michael's Elementary learned years ago about not defining a word by using it in a sentence. I would ask the gentleman, if I put up a soccer goal for my son and I had it in the backyard and it was there and maybe a couple balls were there and maybe a couple folding chairs where mom and dad used to watch the little tyke play, whether or not that would constitute clutter.
Senator's the floor.
I would answer the gentleman by saying conceivably the chairs may be considered household furniture as clutter is so defined in the legislation, but otherwise no, because clutter is defined as mechanical equipment, household furniture, containers, and similar items that may be detrimental to the well-being of a community. So then there's also that qualifier in there too, that not only do they have to be those specific item types, but they also have to be detrimental to the well-being of the community if they're left in public view for an extended period.
Further final question, Mr. Chair.
Senator Yield.
I yield.
Senator Yield, you have the floor.
So if you actually come onto my property and remove my personal property under the color of this statute, isn't that in violation of Article 1, Section 11, which would be an inverse condemnation under our code?
Senator has the floor.
And yet, Mr. President, and yet more work from my senator friend from City of Fairfax.
I thank the gentleman.
Thank the senator. For what purpose is Senator from Henrico? Senator Dunham, rise.
Mr. President, I rise for a question as well, if the chairman will yield.
Will Senator yield?
Yes, sir, I yield.
Senator yields. You have the floor.
With apologies, recognizing this is not his bill, but I would like to know where in the code it is defined that detrimental to the well-being of a community. Where is that definition?
Senator, the floor.
I would answer the gentlewoman that I do not, to my knowledge, it is not defined in the code.
Correct. Speak to the bill, Mr. President.
Senator has the floor.
So, Mr. President, this is a subjective bill. Somebody else is going to decide on your private property what is detrimental to the well-being of a community, which is completely subjective and could be argued any which way. And this is a terrible infringement on property rights and personal rights. And I know that it gets frustrating when you have a neighbor that has stuff out that you don't like, but your rights do not supersede theirs unless there is an imminent danger associated with that. And we should kill this bill, as I tried to in committee, and I hope you will vote against it.
Thank the senator. For what purpose is Senator from Arlington? Senator Favola, rise.
To speak to the measure, Mr. President.
Senator, the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to speak in favor of this bill, and I will give you the reasons why. I'm not sure. This bill does require a local ordinance, and under our local ordinance code, there has to be a public hearing, there has to be notice of that public hearing, comments have to be recorded, the whole 9 yards. So it is a community process and a community decision, if you will, regarding, I guess, what would be determined to be in the well-being of that community. And we had this discussion in the committee where the local government committee, where we acknowledged that there was a balance between an individual wanting to have an attractive community and ensuring that property values rose, and there was some communal responsibility there, as well as an individual's right to put stuff in the person's front yard. So we're allowing local government to determine what that balance is, but there absolutely is a balance because there is a communal benefit here when you can control for garbage and litter and now clutter. So I urge that the body pass this measure. Thank you.
Thank the senator. For what purpose is Senator from Hanover? Senator McDougal, rise. Senator from Accomack, yield.
Sure.
Senator yields. You have the floor.
Mr. President, I'm sure I'm going to get this question from Reagan later, so I want to make sure I answer it correctly. Those little roaming gnomes that we see on Travelocity, if they are in somebody's yard, would they be considered clutter?
Senator has the floor.
And I would answer the gentleman by referring to the very specific definition in the bill: mechanical equipment, household furniture, containers, and similar items that may be detrimental to the community. So I do not think that would fall under the category of clutter.
Thank the senator. For what purpose is Senator from Roanoke County? Senator Suderline, rise.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just speaking briefly to the bill.
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, it was great hearing the comments from the senator that sits right in front of me. As I look at her desk right now, I notice there's two different cups. There's a fork, but no meal that seems to be being used for. There's several paper clips that have no paper attached to them. But I would not ever suggest that I know better how she should run her table than her. Nor would I ever ask my county to pass an ordinance or ask this body to prohibit it. Even though I don't like seeing all of it, I respect her right as my neighbor, and I hope that it will be the pleasure of the Senate to reject this bill.
For-purpose Senator from Arlington, Senator from Vola, rise.
Mr. Chairman, now that I've heard the comments from my neighbor, I will make an effort to tidy up my place. Thank you.
Thank the senator. For-purpose Senator from Rockingham, Senator Obenshain, rise.
I cannot top that argument in opposition to this bill. I will sit down and be quiet.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding House Bill 1778? Seeing none, question is, shall House Bill 1778 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 19, noes 20.
Ayes 19, noes 20. House Bill 1778 fails.
House Bill 1796, a bill relating to special license plates Virginia National Guard retirees, reported from the Committee on Finance and from Transportation and the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Senator from Western Fairfax, Senator Marsden.
Mr. President,
From Eastern Fairfax, Senator Servo.
Could that bill go by temporarily while he finishes up on a bill?
Without objection, House Bill 1796 will go by temporarily.
House Bill 1852, a bill relating to the Uniform Collaborative Law Act, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary.
Senator from Roanoke City, Senator Edwards.
Mr. President, I move that the bill pass. And by way of
There's the floor.
There's such a thing as the Uniform Collaborative Law Act. I didn't know much about it myself, but apparently it's in other states they do it as well, and they engage in, and there's such a thing as a collaborative lawyers and a collaborative law process, and it's typically in the field of domestic relations. They work together in a collaborative sort of fashion to solve problems like mediation, similar to mediation. And what they do is a collaborative matter is considered among the following. One, issues regarding marriage and divorce, dissolution, and so forth. Two, child custody, visitation, parenting. Number three, alimony support, spousal support, and child support, and so forth. Number four, adoption, parentage, and finally, negotiation of enforcement of premarital, marital, and separation agreements. Typically in the field of domestic relations, apparently people do this, and so this simply authorizes the use of the Uniform Collaborative Law Act for those who would like to engage in collaborative law, and the practice of collaborative law, again, is similar to mediation. Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill pass.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding House Bill 1852? Seeing none, the question is, shall House Bill 1852 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 34, noes 2.
Ayes 34, noes 2. House Bill 1852 passes.
House Bill 1895, a bill relating to fines and cost, accrual of interest, deferral, or installment payment agreements, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary with amendments and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Senator from Roanoke City, Senator Edwards.
Mr. President, I move the committee amendments.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee amendments be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendments are adopted. Senator from Roanoke City, Senator Edwards.
Mr. President, I move that the bill pass, and by way of explanation.
Senator, the floor.
This has to do with installment payments and fines. It provides that the fine that the court awards in a criminal case would apply 180 days after no interest would accrue until 180 days after the court order, or 180 days after a person is released from incarceration. that's when the interest would accrue. It also provides that the court can, the defendant can ask the judge for installment loans, an installment agreement to pay over time, and it expressly authorizes that. That's basically what it does. With that explanation, I move the bill pass.
Senator, do any other senators wish to be heard regarding House Bill 1895? Seeing none, the question is, shall House Bill 1895 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 19, noes 18.
Ayes 19, noes 18. House Bill 1895 passes.
Mr. President.
Senator from Eastern Fairfax, Senator Surville.
I think voted on the prevailing side by which House Bill 1899 passed. I'd move to reconsider that vote.
1895?
I'm sorry, the one we just... I'm
Yes.
sorry, 95. I'm
That's
sorry.
okay.
The one we just did.
Right. Question is...
I'm sorry, I withdraw the motion. I'm sorry. We're confused.
Withdraw the motion? Okay. Without objection, motion is withdrawn.
House Bill 1899, a bill relating to sunset of coal tax credits. Reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Senator from Northern Fairfax, Senator Howe.
I move the bill pass. And speaking to the bill.
Senator, has the floor.
This bill is identical to Senate Bill 1252, Senator McPike's bill. It sunsets the Coal Employment and Production Incentive Tax Credit and Coalfield Employment Enhancement Tax Credit after tax year 2021 and prohibits the allocation of such credits on or after January 1st, 2022.
Thank the senator. For what purpose is Senator from Southern Fairfax, Senator Barker, rise?
Mr. President, nothing right now, so thank you.
Okay. Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding House Bill 1899? Seeing none, the question is, shall House Bill 1899 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 21, noes 17.
Ayes 21, no 17. House Bill 1899 passes.
House Bill 1911, a bill relating to no-fault divorces corroboration requirement, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary with a substitute.
Senator from Roanoke City, Senator Edwards.
Mr. President, I move the committee substitute be adopted.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the
President.
for purpose Senator from Eastern Fairfax, Senator Surville, rise?
Sorry, can this bill go by for the day?
Without objection. House Bill 1911 will go by for the day.
House Bill 1919, a bill relating to local green banks, reported from the Committee on Local Government with a substitute.
Senator from Accomack, Senator Lewis.
Mr. President, move the committee substitute.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is adopted. Senator from Accomack, Senator Lewis.
Mr. President, I move the bill pass. And speaking to that motion,
Senator, has the floor.
Mr. President, members of the body, House Bill 1919 seeks to create or authorize the creation by localities of green banks. And again, it would be purely discretionary to the locality as to whether or not they chose to avail themselves of this opportunity. It authorizes a locality to establish a green bank to promote investment in clean energy technologies in the locality and to provide financing for clean energy technologies. It also establishes powers and functions of the Green Bank, including developing rules and procedures, financing and providing loans for clean energy projects, and stimulating demand for renewable energy. The Green Bank can be a public entity, a quasi-public entity, or a nonprofit entity, and it requires the bank to hold a hearing and publish a notice in the paper prior to establish, or requires the locality to do so prior to establishing the green banks. So with that, Mr. President, I renew my motion that the bill pass.
Thank the senator. For what purpose does Senator from Roanoke County, Senator Suderline, rise? Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding House Bill 1919? Seeing none, the question is, shall House Bill 1919 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 25, noes 13.
Ayes 25, noes 13. House Bill 1919 passes.
House Bill 1936, a bill relating to robbery penalties, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary with a substitute.
Senator from Roanoke City, Senator Edwards.
Mr. President, this simply divides robbery into different categories.
Sorry, Senator, before we get into the passage, you want to move the substitute?
I move the committee substitute be adopted.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is adopted. Senator from Roanoke City, Senator Edwards.
Mr. President, this simply provides that the different categories of robbery, shooting somebody with a deadly weapon, threatening somebody, I forget the categories, 3 or 4 different categories of robbery. I don't have it in front of me, but that's what it does. It divides, it doesn't change robbery other than splitting into different categories. With that explanation, I move that the bill pass.
Thank you, Senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding House Bill 1936? Seeing none, the question is, shall House Bill 1936 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 20, noes 18.
Ayes 20, noes 18. House Bill 1936 passes.
House Bill 1969, a bill relating to administration of blighted and derelict properties in certain localities, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Senator from Northern Fairfax, Senator Howe.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill pass.
Senator has the floor.
What this bill does is modifies the definition of a qualifying locality to include any locality with a score of 100 or higher on the Fiscal Stress Index as established by the Department of Housing and Community Development in July of last year.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding House Bill 1969? Seeing none, the question is, shall House Bill 1969 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senator desire to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 37, noes 0.
Ayes 37, noes 0. House Bill 1969 passes.
House Bill 1999, a bill relating to authorizing tax commissioner to waive accrual of interest in the event that the governor declares a state of emergency, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Senator from Northern Fairfax, Senator Howe.
I move the bill pass.
Senator's the floor.
Speaking to the bill, it authorizes the commissioner to waive interest on any class of taxpayers when he finds that the imposing interest has caused or would cause undue hardship because of a natural disaster or other reason.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding House Bill 1999? Seeing none, the question is, shall House Bill 1999 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 37, noes 0.
Ayes 37, noes 0. House Bill 1999 passes.
House Bill 2042, a bill relating to replacement and conservation of trees during development. Reported from the Committee on Local Government with amendments.
Senator from Eastern Fairfax, Senator Servell.
Mr. President, could that bill go by temporarily? Apparently the House is calling up our bills right now, so we keep losing a few people.
Without objection, House Bill 2042 will go by temporarily.
House Bill 2054, a bill relating to comprehensive plan transit-oriented development. Reported from the Committee on Local Government.
Senator from Eastern Fairfax, Senator Servell.
Could that bill go by temporarily as well?
Without objection, House Bill 2054 will go by temporarily.
House Bill 2081, a bill relating to polling places, prohibited activities, possession of a firearm penalty. Reported for the Committee on the Judiciary.
Senator from Roanoke City, Senator Edwards.
Mr. President, I move this House Bill 2081 pass.
Senator's the floor.
And by way of explanation, what this does is prohibits the possession of a firearm within 40 feet of the polling place, just like so many other things are prohibited from being within 40 feet of a polling place, such as campaigning. You're not supposed to campaign within 40 feet of a polling place. So you also cannot have a firearm within that space. With that explanation, I move the bill pass.
Thank the Senator. For what purpose is the
Mr. President,
Senator from Eastern Fairfax, Senator Servell, rise?
can we go at ease for 5 minutes?
Without objection? No objection. The Senate will stand at ease for 5 minutes. Senate will come to order. The senators will please take their seats. Madam Clerk.
Page 21, House Bill 2081, a bill relating to polling places, prohibited activities, possession of a firearm penalty. Reported from the Committee on the Judiciary.
Senator from Eastern Fairfax, Senator Servell.
That bill go by for the day.
Without objection, House Bill 2081 will go by for the day.
House Bill 2123, a bill relating to the State Council of Higher Education for Virginia eligibility for in-state tuition. Reported from the Committee on Education and Health and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Senator from Portsmouth, Senator Lucas.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that the bill pass.
Senator's the floor.
Yes, sir. Mr. President, House Bill 2123 provides undocumented students with equitable access to state financial assistance programs. These would include state need-based aid programs as well as tuition assistance grants, such as the TAG grant, G3, and institutional programs. And so with that explanation, Mr. President, I renew my motion that the bill pass.
Thank the Senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding House Bill 2123? Seeing none, the question is, shall House Bill 2123 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 20, noes 18.
Ayes 20, noes 18. House Bill 2123 passes.
House Bill 2138, a bill relating to identification privilege cards, fee, confidentiality, penalties. Reported from the Committee on Transportation and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Senator from Western Fairfax, Senator Marsden.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the bill pass. And speaking to the bill.
Senator's the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill authorizes the Department of Motor Vehicles to issue identification privilege cards to applicants who hold a citizenship or legal presence status that is eligible for a special identification card or a limited duration special identification card and have reported income from Virginia, have reported income from Virginia sources or been claimed as a dependent on an individual tax return filed with the Commonwealth in the preceding 12 months. The bill provides that identification privilege cards shall be treated as a special identification card unless otherwise provided in the code. The bill limits the release of certain information stored by the department. The bill has a delayed effective date until January 1, 2022, and I reiterate my motion that the bill pass.
Thank the Senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding House Bill 2138? Seeing none, the question is, shall House Bill 2138 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 19, noes 18.
Ayes 19, noes 18. House Bill 2138 passes.
House Bill 2174, a bill relating to Virginia Saves Program establishment. Reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with the substitute.
Senator from Franklin County, Senator Stanley.
Yes, Mr. President, can HB 2174 go by for the day? The stakeholders are trying to see if they can work out some language on that, and I was asked to make that request.
Thank the Senator. Without objection, House Bill 2174 will go by for the day.
House Bill 2194, a bill relating to communicating threats of death or bodily injury to a person with intent to intimidate penalty. Reported from the Committee on the Judiciary and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Senator from Roanoke City, Senator Edwards.
Mr. President, I move that House Bill 2194 pass.
Senator's the floor.
And by way of explanation, Mr. President, this is identical to the bill that we passed that was sponsored by the senator from northern Chesapeake. I believe the city of Chesapeake wanted it, if I'm not mistaken. And so it does require that the threat be in writing. The threat for bodily injury be in writing. With that explanation, I move the passage of House Bill 2194.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding House Bill 2194? Seeing none, the question is, shall House Bill 2194 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 34, noes 3.
Ayes 34, noes 3. House Bill 2194 passes.
House Bill 2201, a bill relating to solar projects and energy storage projects, siting agreements throughout the Commonwealth. Reported from the Committee on Local Government.
Does Senator from Eastern Fairfax, Senator Searville.
I was going to ask if this could go by temporarily.
Without objection, House Bill 2201 will go by temporarily.
Thank you.
Thank the senator.
House Bill 2206, a bill to temporarily expand the child care subsidy program, provide financial assistance for child care to families in need during the public health emergency. Reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with a substitute.
Senator from Portsmouth, Senator Lucas.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that the committee substitute be agreed to.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is agreed to. Senator from Portsmouth, Senator Lucas.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that the bill pass and speak into that measure.
Senators, the floor.
Mr. President, the bill provides that regulations governing the child care subsidy program shall be amended to provide that if families shall be eligible for assistance through the program, if the family's income does not exceed 85% of the state's median income, the family includes at least one child who is 5 years of age or younger and has not yet started kindergarten, and the family meets all other income eligibility requirements of the program, and job search activities shall be considered eligible activities for the purposes of the program. The bill provides that a family determined to be eligible for assistance through the program shall be eligible to receive assistance for a period of 12 months or until the family's household income exceeds 85% of the state's median income, whichever occurs sooner. And the Department of Social Services shall administer the program as amended by the bill in cooperation with the Department of Education. The bill contains an emergency clause and provides that the provisions of the bill shall be applicable to applications for assistance through the program received prior to August 1, 2021. I move the bill pass.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding House Bill 2206? Seeing none, the question is, shall House Bill 2206 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 37, noes 0.
Ayes 37, noes 0. House Bill 2206 passes.
House Bill 2217, a bill relating to liability of public access authorities. Reported for the Committee on Local Government.
Mr. President, may that bill go by temporarily?
Without objection, House Bill 2217 will go by temporarily.
House Bill 2261, a bill relating to special license plates, member of the Virginia National Guard. Reported from the Committee on Transportation and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Senator from Western Fairfax, Senator Marsden.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the bill pass. And speaking to the bill?
Senators, the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill removes the fee for the issuance of special license plates to a member of the Virginia National Guard. Current law provides that such special license plates are issued at half the prescribed cost of state license plates. The bill does not change the fee for personalized special license plates, and I renew my motion that the bill pass.
Thank the senator. For what purpose, Senator from Prince William County, Senator McPike, rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. Speak to the bill.
Senators, the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. This and another bill are sort of changing the framework of what the General Assembly has reserved sort of license plate fee waivers for. And I think they're a very distinguished class. They're in relation to Medal of Honor winners, POWs, and those who have been awarded the Purple Heart. This session, we are starting to breach and degrade that honor, I think, that we have held very dear, and we've had a separate class. This starts to create a Christmas tree, because next year it's going to be other service members, other branches, and the list will go on and on and on. I'd urge the body to reject this measure, as well as another one that's also on our docket, to preserve the high honor and esteem that we have already provided to those who have truly given and sacrificed to Virginia and our country. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding House Bill 2261? Senator from Western Fairfax, Senator Marsden.
Thank you, Mr. President. I certainly appreciate the senator from Prince William's point on this. We are expanding this, but all over the country today, our National Guardsmen are away from their homes, away from their family, helping put shots in people's arms to control this pandemic. They've been doing these kinds of things for years, and I think it's time that this one small thing we can do for them, and I don't believe that anybody who certainly deserved the discount or the free license plates that they had for meritorious service, the Medal of Valor, the Congressional Medal of Honor, all of those things. You know, that's important, but we need to send a message to our Guardsmen that we appreciate and we know what they're doing and we recognize it and we're watching. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank the senator. For what purpose, the senator from Loudoun County, Senator Bell, rise?
Speaking to the measure.
Senator, has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very briefly, I'll just say we've struggled to keep retention in our National Guard members. This is a difficult job. Often people, particularly in high-cost areas, serve in the National Guard, and they leave and take a pay cut to go serve. This designation is a simple thing. They already pay half fees for this. It actually gives them an ability to really have a special designation and be part of this very good, great team of warriors that represent us in times of need. So I definitely respect my colleagues' comments on this, and I appreciate preserving what's special about those other heroes, but I do think that this is a good measure and ask that you support it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank the senator. For purpose, Senator from Bedford, Senator Newman, rise.
Mr. President, speaking for the bill
floor.
briefly, I served as chairman of transportation. We kept some of these items very close to our vest, and we understand that. But this one is, in my opinion, not about money. It has very little to do with money, almost nothing. It has to do with respect. And in fact, we are asking our National Guard more and more to be the regular Army. And this bill, in my opinion, is one that will give the respect to those individuals who are doing so much for us. And I believe, Mr. President, this is a very little bit we can give to them.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding House Bill 2261? Seeing none, the question is, shall House Bill 2261 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 31, noes 6, Rule 36-1.
Ayes 31, noes 6, Rule 36-1. House Bill 2261 passes.
House Bill 2263, a bill relating to abolition of the death penalty, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
Senator from Franklin County, Senator Stanley.
Thank you, Mr. President. If you wouldn't mind, please could HB 2263 go by for the day?
Without objection, House Bill 2263 will go by for the day.
Returning to page 15, House Bill 2014.
Senator from Southern Fairfax, Senator Barker.
Mr. President, I need to make a couple of motions here to get to where we need to be. I don't, what had happened, just to refresh your memory on things, I had withdrawn the first floor amendment, and then I think there'd been a motion approved to waive the reading of the second floor amendment when we took a recess. So I will ask for reconsideration of the action to waive the reading of the second floor amendment so we could get back to the first floor amendment. Yeah, well, I'm going to reconsider it. So yeah, I got to do another one to get to that.
Senator Barker, you withdrew the first floor amendment and then waived the reading of the second. So now you need to resubmit the first floor amendment.
Okay.
Because you withdrew it.
All right. So is that logistically possible today, or I need to have it pass this by for the day so we can act on it tomorrow?
Okay. So you want to pass by for the day?
Well, I want to get back to the First Amendment. I don't care which way we get there, but I'm happy going to do it today, or I'm happy to do it tomorrow. So
Just do it again tomorrow.
We'll pass it by for the day.
that sounds fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator.
I do
And
have-
also, sorry, Senator, before we move on, just for clarity, with the Second Amendment, do you want to withdraw that one as well?
Yes, I want to withdraw that one.
Okay, so we don't want to come back to that one when we come back to
No.
it next time?
No.
Okay. Thanks. So without objection, the Second Amendment is withdrawn, and the bill, House Bill 2014, will go by for the day.
Yes. It would now be an appropriate time to make a motion on for reconsideration of a vote on another measure.
If we could just go through them, the ones we went by, is it one we went by temporarily?
No, there is one we went by temporarily I need to get to, but there's also another one where there was a vote, and I would like to have that vote reconsidered.
Okay.
That is on page 16 on House Bill 1778, which was did not pass. Having voted on the prevailing side of that measure when it failed to report, I would like to ask for a reconsideration of that vote.
The question is, shall the vote by which House Bill 1778 failed be reconsidered? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, no 0.
Ayes 38, no 0. The motion is agreed to. Senator from Southern Fairfax, Senator Barker.
I now would like to move for to have pass that bill by for the day.
Thank you, Senator. Without objection, House Bill 1778 will go by for the day.
On page 17, House Bill 1796.
Senator from Western Fairfax, Senator Marsden.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the bill pass. And speaking to the bill.
Senators, the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. We just heard a bill about folks who are currently on active duty with the National Guard, and this deals with retirees, and it removes the fee for the issuance of a special license plate for retired members of the Virginia National Guard. Currently, such special license plates cost the same as the prescribed cost for a typical Virginia license plate. Mr. President, 2138, which we just voted out of here a few moments ago, that was all about we see you and we appreciate what you do. This bill, 1796, says we watched you and we remember what you did. And so I, again, reiterate my motion that the bill pass.
Thank the Senator. For what purpose, Senator from Prince William County, Senator McPike, rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. Speaking to the bill.
Senators, the floor.
Just briefly, this is the same issue as the gentleman from southwestern Middle Earth Fairfax articulated earlier, and would note the same opposition. We have almost 800,000 veterans, and I guarantee you next year we're going to have a bill for every service member, current, active, retired, that moves us forward. Now you're breaching the dam. Again, we have held close to our chest Medal of Honor winners, Purple Heart, and POWs. We have a huge population that have done tremendous amount of service to our country and our Commonwealth. It's going to extend on to police officers, to firefighters, to nurses. I mean, the list would go on. And all due respect, I do appreciate the service and sacrifice, but again, would urge that the bill not pass to preserve the highest honors to those, again, Medal of Honor winners, POWs, and those who have been awarded the Purple Heart. Thank you.
Thank the senator. For what purpose, Senator from Spotsylvania, Senator Reeves, rise.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wish to speak to the bill.
Senator's the floor.
Mr. President, you and I have been lucky enough to attend several VMAC meetings in which we listen to military commanders from all the various entities within the military and garrison and base and post commanders talk about what we can do for them. And Mr. President, you and I listened to how much our military footprint meant to the Commonwealth of Virginia, but at some point we started facing a little bit of that downturn. I think we were still growing by 1.23%, thus why we couldn't deal with some of the taxation issues and some of that. But they did ask us to consider other ways in which we could help those who wear the cloth of the country show support, and not necessarily in huge monetary ways, but ways that we could just say, hey, Virginia, we love our folks who serve in the military. And my colleague from Prince William and I get along, and 90% of the stuff we talk about. On this one, I sit on the other side. I think we've got to do as much as we can to make sure we maintain that military footprint in the Commonwealth of Virginia for what they do for us each and every day. Because when they start leaving, if the Department of Defense starts to institute a BRAC and those sort of things, we're going to do all we can to save our bases because they mean jobs to the Commonwealth. So, Mr. President, I think this is a good bill, and I think it's a needed bill. Thank you.
Thank the senator. For what purpose, Senator from Loudoun County, Senator Bell, rise.
Speaking to the bill.
Senator's the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be brief. I agree with the comments of the gentleman from Spotsylvania, and again, I unfortunately have to disagree with my friend, the gentleman from Prince William, on this. Right now, we're in tough times, again, for attracting and retaining people, and in this case, we're talking about people who've served an entire career, who've served as a National Guard member for 20 years. And that often involves multiple hard deployments to some of the toughest locations in the world, or stepping up in natural disasters, doing things like going to defend our capital and putting themselves in harm's way. And frankly, if we have more of these plates to recognize heroes like this, I'm fine with that. So I hope that you'll vote for passage of this bill. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding House Bill 1796? Seeing none, the question is, shall House Bill 1796 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 28, noes 9, Rule 36-1.
Ayes 28, noes 9, Rule 36-1. House Bill 1796 passes.
On page 20, House Bill 2042. We have not adopted the committee amendments.
Senator from Accomack, Senator Lewis.
Mr. President, move the committee amendments.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee amendments be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendments are adopted. Senator from Accomack, Senator Lewis.
Mr. President, members of the body, this bill is identical to the bill, Senate Bill 1393, with this gentleman from southern, western, eastern, northern Fairfax, which was a consensus bill between the stakeholders, including the home builders. and the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. And what this bill provides is, Mr. President, it gives the locality the ability to exceed general requirements in its tree replacement and conservation ordinances in specific circumstances, including development that impacts stormwater permits. And the provisions of this bill has the delayed effective date of July 1, 2022.
Thank the senator.
And I'm sorry, Mr.
Go ahead.
President, the amendments we just adopted conform this to Senator Marsden's Senate Bill 1393, which passed this body 26-13. And with that, Mr. President, I would move the bill pass.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding House Bill 2042? Seeing none, the question is, shall House Bill 2042 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 26, noes 11.
Ayes 26, noes 11. House Bill 2042 passes.
On page 21, House Bill 2054.
Senator from Accomack, Senator Lewis.
Me again, Mr. President. Just a moment, Mr. President. Yeah, here we go. I'm sorry, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move the bill pass, and speaking to that motion.
Senators, the floor.
Mr. President, House Bill 2054 adds reducing, modifying, or waiving local parking requirements or ratios to the strategies that may be included when larger localities consider incorporating strategies to promote transit-oriented development in reviews of their comprehensive plans. This bill removes from the existing strategy of increasing development density in areas, in certain areas to reduce density and others, the phrase to reduce density in others. And so with that, Mr. President, I move the bill pass.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding House Bill 2054? Seeing none, the question is, shall House Bill 2054 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 22, noes 16.
Ayes 22, noes 16. House Bill 2054 passes.
On page 23, House Bill 2201.
Senator from Accomack, Senator Lewis.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Move the bill pass, and speaking to that motion.
Senators, the floor.
Mr. Chairman, members of the body, House Bill 2201 is identical to Senate Bill 1207 from Senator Barker. Deals with solar energy storage projects. It expands existing provisions related to siting agreements for solar projects in an opportunity zone to include storage projects, and makes the provisions apply statewide. The bill also provides that its provisions shall not become effective with respect to energy storage projects unless the Assembly approves legislation that authorizes localities to adopt an ordinance for taxation of energy storage projects, such as with solar projects. The bill further provides that the locality may grant a special exception for an energy storage project. And so with that, Mr. President, I move the bill pass.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding House Bill 2201? Seeing none, the question is, shall House Bill 2201 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 34, noes 3, Rule 36-1.
Ayes 34, noes 3, Rule 36-1. House Bill 2201 passes.
On page 24, House Bill 2217.
Senator from Accomack, Senator Lewis.
It's all me, isn't it, Mr. President?
Indeed.
Mr. President, I move the bill pass, and speaking to that motion.
Senators, the floor.
Mr. President, House Bill 2017 provides, refers to liability for public access authorities. And what this bill does is grant public access authorities, including land holdings and facilities of authorities, liability protection that are currently given to localities in regard to parks, recreational facilities, and playgrounds. These authorities, Mr. President, are created by statute to identify land or accept donations of land for public use. such as the Chesapeake Bay Public Access Authority, which is composed of local governments on the Middle Peninsula. There are two other PPAs in existence that we are aware of. This bill would amend 15.2/1809 to extend immunity currently extended to local governments created by this section to public access authorities, and again, the same immunity that would apply to other public facilities such as parks and recreational facilities and playgrounds. So with that, Mr. President, I would move the bill pass.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding House Bill 2217? Seeing none, the question is, shall House Bill 2217 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 33, noes 6.
Ayes 33, noes 6. House Bill 2217 passes.
On page 26, uncontested calendar House bills on second reading.
Senior Senator from Fairfax, Senator Saslaw.
Mr. President, I move that all House bills on second reading on the uncontested and regular calendar, pages 26 through 32, it's House Bill 1807 through 1965, that the rules be suspended and the second constitutional reading of the titles be dispensed with.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the rules be suspended and the second reading of the titles of the House bills on the uncontested and regular calendars, pages 26 through 30, House Bill 1807 through House Bill 1965, be dispensed with? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, noes 0.
Ayes 39, noes 0. The reading of the titles is dispensed with. Senior Senator from Fairfax, Senator Saslaw.
I would now move those bills go by for the day, Mr. President.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the House bills on the uncontested and regular calendars now on third reading go by for the day? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bills will go by for the day. Senior Senator from Fairfax.
Supplemental calendar number 1, uncontested calendar House bills on second reading.
Mr. President, I move that all House bills on second reading on the uncontested and regular calendar, that's pages 1 through 21, HB 1818 through 2332, that the rules be suspended and the second constitutional reading of the titles be dispensed with.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the rules be suspended and the second reading of the titles of the House bills on the uncontested and regular calendars, pages 1 through 21, House Bill 1818 through House Bill 2332, be dispensed with? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, noes 0.
Ayes 39, noes 0. The reading of the titles is dispensed with. Senior Senator from Fairfax, Senator Saslaw.
Mr. President, I now move those bills go by for the day.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the House bills on the uncontested and regular calendars now on third reading go by for the day? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bills will go by for the day.
Uncontested calendar House Joint Resolution on second reading. House Joint Resolution 542, requesting the Department of Rail and Public Transportation to study transit equity and modernizations in the Commonwealth. Report.
The Senior Senator from Fairfax, Senator Saslaw.
Mr. President, I inquire the clerks that complete the calendars for today.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Is there any other business to come before the Senate? For what purpose is the junior senator from Richmond City, Senator Morrissey, rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, could we return to morning hour for two very brief announcements?
Without objection. Senator, has the floor.
Thank you. Mr. President, I got a text from my sister who lives in Charlottesville, and she and her large cadre of bicycle friends wanted me to thank her state senator, Senator Deeds, for passing HB 2262, but then she asked the question, please ask Senator Deeds why he didn't vote for my brother's almost identical bill back on January 27th. So that's the first announcement, Mr. President. The second one is one of my favorite sections of the Richmond Times-Dispatch is their retro section where they go back in time 20, 30, 40, or even 42 years, Mr. President. And so if you'll just join me for a moment, folks, so we can travel back to February of 1979. A gallon of gas was 86 cents. A dozen eggs were 85 cents, and a stamp you could purchase for 15 cents. The Village People's YMCA topped the pop singles chart, and Richard Petty, known as the King, edged out Cale Yarborough and Donnie Allison for the Daytona 21, the Daytona 500. The Steelers had just beaten the Cowboys in Super Bowl 13, and importantly, North Carolina beat Duke 71-65 in the NCAA championship. That was North Carolina beating Duke. So, Mr. President, while we're on that sports theme, 3 people's birthdays are today: Buddy Ryan, Michael Jordan, and of course our own Lieutenant Governor. Congratulations again, Mr. President.
Thank the senator very much. Thank you all. Do any other senators wish to be recognized? Seeing none, the clerk will report any announcements on the desk.
Today, Wednesday, February 17th, the Committee on General Laws and Technology will meet 1/2 hour after adjournment, East Committee Room. The Committee on the Judiciary will meet 1/2 hour after adjournment in the West Committee Room. Tomorrow, Thursday, February 18th, the Committee on Education and Health will meet at 8 a.m. West Committee Room. The Democratic Caucus will meet 1/2 hour before session, Democratic Caucus Room. The Republican Caucus will meet 1/2 hour before session, Republican Caucus Room.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Mr. President.
Senator from Roanoke City, Senator Edwards.
Could the Judiciary Committee meet immediately, if not sooner, in West? As soon as you can get up there, we'll get started rather than waiting a half an hour. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. For purpose, Senator from Southern Fairfax, Senator Barker, rise.
To join the Judiciary Committee, the General Laws Committee will meet as soon as we get a quorum up there. So please come quickly so we can get through all these bills today.
Thank the Senator. Do any other senators wish to be recognized? Is there any other business to come before the Senate? Seeing none, I call on Madam President, Senator from Portsmouth, Senator Lucas.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that the Senate do now adjourn until 12 noon on tomorrow, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your birthday.
Thank you, Madam President. Question is, shall the Senate stand adjourned until 12 noon tomorrow? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Senate stands adjourned until 12 noon tomorrow.